From the glossary. Solar plexus. The area of the body below the diaphragm down to and including the perineum. In the understanding of the Corpus Christi, the science of the rainbow body, the solar plexus is the alchemical laboratory where the higher Christ consciousness is gestating. A great transmutation is occurring in this area throughout the human gene pool, and it will in time bring a new kind of human, Homo sanctus, into the world. It is through the complex ganglia of the solar plexus that our individual racial and collective memories, sanskaras, are being transformed. The genetic mutations in our gut will dramatically change our physiology. Gradually, human beings are evolving the means to draw and digest higher frequency currents into our bodies. This will in time allow us to live on subtler kinds of nutrition. The likelihood is that the human beings of the future will therefore eat less dense foods. They will stop eating meat and eventually even stop eating plants. As our diet changes, so will our solar plexus evolve its new function to be the equipment for our higher awareness. It's through the belly that human beings will one day realize their oneness with all creation. And that's as it should be, because that's where life begins. That's where evolution begins, in the belly, in the navel, and with the growth of that fetus. And there are many teachings around this. The Taoists were very good. They call it the immortal fetus, where you grow this immortal fetus in your womb. It's where the eternal nature grows. Our eternal nature is where it lives. And so, this isn't to be confused, by the way, with like the chakras, the third chakra, which is that Manipura chakra, although it has connections. It's not a chakra. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the one point. We're talking about, this place where all consciousness is condensed into like the 0 point, where our evolution begins and ends. So it's something slightly different, and this is what's evolving. And there's this thing about nutrition, it's called the solar plexus for a good reason, because that's where we are solar beings. We are children of the sun, and so our inner fire, our inner sun is down there in the belly, in the navel. But we have to evolve that over time. And as it evolves, that light that is released from there will impregnate every cell of our being and will create this genetic mutation inside our species. As that light, because it's that light, it's the frequency of that light that will mutate us. The sun mutates, but also that inner light will mutate us, because it's heat. It's that incredible heat. If you've ever had a kind of mystical experience or some kind of rush of electricity or catalytic experience like that, you'll know that it's can completely carry you away with this inner heat, this fire, and it feels like you're being burned from the inside, and your mind is cleared, is burned, your thoughts are burned, everything is just burned with the white heat from the experience, from the inner light. So the solar plexus is that area inside us that we're remembering, and also it's already fully evolved. It evolved in a previous cycle, right? So it's almost like it's dormant. It's not like it has to evolve over like another millennia. It's waiting to suddenly awaken. So so that when this mass awakening to Homo sanctus comes, it will come fast. In evolutionary terms, it will just come fast, because it's part of the story. It's like, the Sleeping Beauty or something in the garden, and has just been asleep, and all it takes is that kiss, and then suddenly the prince awakens the beauty inside us, and that's how it's going to open, and that's how we're going to open, and that's how we are opening. And I'm talking obviously about collective consciousness. I'm talking about in that area, in the gut, is, there's more foreign DNA, there's more DNA than the rest of the body all put together, by a huge amount. And it's foreign DNA because in there is all the bacteria. So we're actually not, we're not what we think we are at all. The DNA that we're made up of is that you might call our DNA, is a tiny amount. Most of it's just bacteria. Most of us is bacteria, and that bacteria, that kind of those microorganisms, they operate through a collective consciousness. So as that starts to kind of awaken, that that being inside us, that is what will connect us to all other beings, because it's the same bacteria that's inside all living beings, same strains more or less. And so that's something to consider. And the collective consciousness, it will awaken through in first of all in relationships, one-to-ones. I've sort of spoken about now, the binaries, but then also in small groups, small groupings of humans, like little coteries, little groups of people that are karmically connected, that come together, and where they go through this awakening together, as the distance between us is eroded through the light that starts to flicker and jump between one being and another on the inner planes. These subtle bodies that we talk about in the glossary are going to kind of create bridges between us, actual physical bridges. Not, we don't have to touch each other, but the physical body, the awareness will start to travel from person to person, and knit us together into a new kind of fabric in these groups. And then the group consciousness will emerge, and it will be the most extraordinary thing to experience that, I think, the sharing of awareness with a group. To be utterly transparent, to have nothing hidden from another being, nothing. Your history, your fears, your loves, your incarnations, all of it, but then coming together karmically to awaken, almost like a family, like a true family, like a family where there's just nothing but love, nothing but acceptance. And the power of that, the alchemy in that small crucible of beings will be extraordinary. Anyway, so that's the solar plexus. The solar plexus awakening is going to create that. I mean, this is prophetic, obviously. And for now, yes, we are where we are at, and gradually we'll eat, less dense foods. That's a natural progression. But for now, it's a really good thing to tune into your solar plexus area. Hold your hands on your belly. Start to love yourself there. Maybe circle your palm on your belly, and just tune in to that place and the light that's in there. Because there's also a great deal of heaviness in there, in our abdomen. It's where all the wounds are really localized and focused. So we have to kind of really love ourselves through those wounds and through the shadows. It's no coincidence that's our elimination area. That's where all the shit is. That's where all the stuff is. And I've always said that the way to heaven is down, that the places of greatest density contain the greatest light. And that's true very much of the belly. It is the most sacred area in our body, which is why the ancients have always sensed this. They've always known that there's a place in there of a black hole, a white hole, a portal to another dimension, a portal to the cosmos. And it's that omphalos, the Greeks call it, that navel of the world that we contain. That's how we get into into the collective. So enjoy bringing your attention and your awareness each day to your solar plexus. Breathe into it and feel it gradually opening, and feel those shadows dissolving, and bring love there and acceptance, and allow grace to work.